Would you like to accelerate your career and reach your full potential in just minutes a day? Welcome to the LEADx Show with New York Times best-selling author and Inc. 500 entrepreneur, Kevin Kruse.
Hey everyone, happy Friday. Kevin Kruse here. Welcome to another edition of the LEADx Leadership Show, also known as the Friday fan mail edition of this show, also known as there's a giant orange phone booth that weighs 700 pounds in Kevin's driveway, and what is he going to do about it edition. So how are you doing? How is your week? Let's see, by the time you're listening to this, we will be 1/3 done with the second quarter. If you're like me, you're running your life, you're running your business, you're running your career quarter to quarter. And I'm looking at my strategic plan for the quarter, and I'm kind of looking down, am I 1/3 of my way to the quarterly goals? I'm not sure I am, but I'm not that far off. So I hope you're doing well this quarter. Here's an email I received. Let's get into fan mail right off the bat. So Kaylin wrote, "Thanks for your time and content you are creating. My personal fave is the concept that if it's important, it should be on your schedule. It's been such a great blessing to me and my family, making me really decide to cut what I want to include in my ideal plan for life, which is what I teach, but the simplicity of the way you said it and so firmly stated that the calendar schedule's where it should be, upped my game." And what a great message. I appreciate that. It's great to hear when some of the stuff I put out there resonates with people. She's talking about this idea that instead of just putting calendars and phone calls on our calendar, like GTD suggests, we should put everything on our calendar that's important to us and then live from that calendar. But Kaylin also continues. She said, "I've sent many people to your site suggesting they add you to those they follow. I just hopped on the site and the last post I saw from you was October 2017. I just want to check in. Is everything well? Anything I can do for you? And is there any other platform you're using more lately?" So this is a great, blind spot that's been, lit up, brought to my attention. And of course, Kaylin and anyone who's wondering, the reality is I've been busy on other platforms. So every week I'm putting 1 or 2 articles up on Forbes.com. You can just Google my last name, Kruse, Kruse, if you want to find my writing on Forbes. Most of those articles then go to LEADx.org. We have an articles section, a blog section, and my posting goes there. Of course, this podcast is a version of blogging, kind of a weekly blog, blabbing out loud on the LEADx Leadership Show. And if you're into Instagram, you can follow along on my daily or weekly stories at Kevin Author on Instagram. On Twitter, I'm trying to get back into the Twitter game. My Twitter handle is @Kruse. And of course, if Facebook is your thing, I'm @Kruse Author. That's the Kevin Kruse page. So there are plenty of places to get my content, get my writing. But shame on me that my kevinkruse.com blog has gone stale. It shows that, something I sort of teach people who are trying to build their personal brand is, you want to take your message to where the people are. Most people are not on your website. They're on Facebook, they're on Instagram, they're listening to podcasts, etc. So you definitely want to get your message out in those other places. But it doesn't mean you should ignore your own homepage, your own home site. And I will do a better job of posting or cross-posting things to kevinkruse.com for all the people who don't know about all these other places. Now, in a minute, you're going to hear my answer to a young man who's asking about self-awareness, how to start understanding himself in a lot of different ways. You're going to want to grab a pencil or get ready to jot notes on your smartphone. But first, don't forget, if you're getting any value from this show, you got to go leave an iTunes rating. Only takes you a minute, might take you a minute and a half if you also write a review. If you don't listen on iTunes, go do it on Stitcher or wherever you are listening. That is the thing that will keep this show going. We need more ratings and reviews so more people can discover the show. Also, friendly reminder, I've been beating this drum for a while, but now it's locked in. Go visit leadx.org. Check out for 3 days free the LEADx Academy. We are tripling the price on June 1st, 2018. So you've only got a few weeks to get this ridiculous $7 a month pre-launch price. You get the Big 5 personality assessment for self-awareness, over 250 video micro lessons. You can watch them on your phone, on your iPad, on your computer, when and where you want. Over a dozen downloadable tools and worksheets, over 20 webinars. And if you have managers reporting to you, drop me a note personally, kevin@leadx.org, because if you have more than 10 people that you can sign up to the platform, I actually want to run a pilot study with you. So drop me an email and we can talk about how we can work something out. Now, before I get to Jack's question about self-awareness, my rant is just explaining this crazy phone booth thing. So just, my kids are always telling me that I've got such a weird life, a funny life, a crazy life. I think my life is boring. To me, my life looks like I'm sitting in my little basement office in front of a computer all day, every day. But every now and then something funny happens. Well, we are getting ready to launch the LEADx Academy at a bunch of trade shows this year. And my idea is to invite the VIPs, you might have heard me talk about it last week, invite VIPs into our booth so that they can actually talk with our artificially intelligent executive coach chatbot. But on the trade show floor, it's really loud. And of course, it's hard for that voice recognition stuff to work when there's a lot of background noise. So, hey, no problem. We ordered one of those like phone booths that people are putting in open office environments. Like, hey, there's 50 of you all huddled together. God forbid you need to make a private phone call. You can go sit in this little phone booth off to the side that's got a fan and a light and a place to plug your phone in. So we ordered one of those from Shanghai and shipped it all the way to my house because I thought it was going to sit in my garage as we configure it for the June trade show and then ship it out of here. Well, it shows up and it's like 700 pounds. It's a foot taller than we thought it was going to be. It doesn't fit into my garage. So I have this giant orange phone booth sitting in my driveway that we are now trying to figure out what to do with. And we're trying to ship it out of here before it rains and ruins the thing. So that's my week. How was yours? Anyway, I got this great question. It says, hey, Kevin, I was reading through previous editions of your LEADx emails, and I saw one about understanding yourself to gain a new perspective on yourself. It said I should answer these 5 questions. What are your core values? What are your strengths? What are your biggest passions in life? What are some of your biggest milestones, good or bad? What is your gift, the thing that impacts others? I'm about to turn 18 next month. After reading these questions, I realize I don't know the real answer to any of them. So how do I find the answer? I've had advice about this in the past, but none of it helps so far. Would love your insight. Jack. So Jack is 18, getting ready to turn 18, is writing from Australia. And it took me a while to get to this question because I had to kind of do some research. And let me first start by saying those recommendations came from one of our guests. I wouldn't necessarily say you need to answer all of them or know the answers for perfect self-awareness, but it's a good start. So here's what I would say. Now, when it comes to core values, now these are very important to me. For me, I just have what I call my 3 to thrive. I like to have things very simple, the fewer the better. And so my 3 top things are health, wealth, and relationships. Now, my interpretation of values, the way that I use them in my life, it's not values like integrity, honesty, fun. It's not those kind of values. To me, it's what do I value? What do I value? And where will I invest my time? Where will I invest my life? And so for me, it's health, wealth, and relationships. Now, there's many other people that use something called the 5 Fs. Their values are family, friends, faith, finances, and fun. There's something else called the Wheel of Life, which is, you can Google that, and it's even more than 5 things. And I think the key is whatever model you are using, it's what do you value, and then what does great look like? So, I have as one of my 3 to thrive relationships. In the 5 Fs, it's family and friends. So let's just call it family. Okay, you've got that value, but what I do is I reflect on what does great look like in this value? If I'm living that value to the max, what does that look like? Does that mean I'm having a touch point with each of my 3 children once a day? Does it mean, my oldest is off to college? Does it mean having one phone call every Sunday with her? Does it mean going out to dinner, date night with the girlfriend once a week? Or, what is it? And there's no right answers, right? So for some people, they want to be texting their kids 20 times a day. Others, it's dinner once a month. No judgment. It's your life. You decide. But what is the value and what does great look like? Now, when it comes to your strengths, what are you great at? What are your strengths? There's a lot of assessments out there that I actually don't like very much. I think it's kind of like advanced astrology. But I will say that I do like what's called Clifton Strengths. It used to be called the Gallup Strengths Finder. They rebranded it. And, the Gallup people, it's a good shop. Whatever you think about the nuances of their research or their models, they have, tons of PhD folks doing hard research. They publish their validity studies. And I was surprised that when I took the Clifton Strengths, it identified things that resonated with me, that I've heard from other sources, and explained them in a way that actually enlightened me about my life a little bit, why I am the way I am. Activator is a big one. Achiever is another one. Now, the bad news is, so you can check these out at the GallupStrengthsCenter.com/store if you want to buy it. And so the normal version for adults, it's $89. I think it's worth it. For students, Jack, you're a student, right? 18. There's a $9 or $19 plan, if you get the book or not, but it's a lot cheaper if you're a student. It's unfortunate you got to pay for it, but it's worth the money. Now there's another one that a lot of people use for strengths. It's called the VIA Character Strengths, VIA, and the website is viacharacter.org. Now, these are strengths that are a little bit different. They're not so much like job and talent strengths. It's kind of overlaps with values in my opinion, but it's a free one. So it's a popular one. And that's another great way to start identifying your strengths. Now we've had other guests on like Dory Clark, and she says, hey, just email, your 5 friends, 10 friends, 20 friends and ask what do I do well? What do you think of, or what 3 words come to mind when you think about me? And you're going to see some patterns come back in terms of what they think you do well or that your top traits are. Now, when it comes to passions, how do you know what you're passionate about? Hopefully you just know, but some questions to get you kind of in the zone. What do you do in your free time? You got a Saturday with nothing planned. You could do anything. What would you do? Think about if you didn't have to go to school, if you didn't have to work, and you just hit the lottery and you won millions of dollars. You're financially free. So what are you going to do next week? Are you going to sit around and read a book? Or are you going to go surfing? Or are you going to organize a party? What would you do with that time? And lastly, I would say, think about, when are you in that place where it's like that flow state where you could be sitting doing something for 4 hours and you're so immersed in it, it feels like it's been 1 hour, and you might have even skipped a meal or not heard the phone ring or whatever. You're so in the zone, you're so in the flow state that time passes without you knowing it. What are you doing then? Is it when you're doing a crossword puzzle, reading a book, listening to music, hanging out with friends, riding a dirt bike? I don't know. And it's going to give you clues about your true passions. Next one on that list, again, it wasn't my list, but it's a decent list, is to think about, for self-awareness, what are the milestones in your life? What are the key events in your life that have shaped your life? Now, Jack, don't take this the wrong way, but you're 18 years old. So if you don't have a lot of milestones yet, don't sweat it. Trust me, they're coming. But just think back to your life and think about what were some of the most emotionally charged days? Just what are your most memorable days and events? Now, by the time I was 18, there were a lot of milestones, mainly negative ones. My mom died unexpectedly when I was 15. My grandparents died. My dad moved me from California to New Jersey when I was going into my senior year of high school. No offense, New Jersey, but being 17 and getting yanked out of Southern California and getting plopped in Northern New Jersey, a little bit of a fish out of water story. I was in a car accident. But there were other things they don't all have to be tragedies, right? So, I think about roughly that time period. I mean, other momentous things was like my first job and that first boss. And there's a lot of things I remember about that, good and bad, things I learned. I was working in a grocery store. I was working in fast food. I got a lucky break and I started working at AT&T Bell Laboratories. And I had horrible bosses, great people, but they were horrible bosses. But I learned from that experience. And then, of course, again, now I'm 51. So I look back and not all of those stick out as much as they would have when I was 18, 19 years old, because now I've had multiple businesses that have failed, multiple businesses that have sold for a lot of money. My kids have been born. My kids have been sick. I've lost important people in my life. So as life goes on, these milestones are going to change. But in terms of self-awareness, why are you so far the way you are? Now, a lot of it's personality. And, that's, I think you can go online, and speaking of personality, it wasn't in that list, but you can find free versions, kind of knockoff versions of DISC or MBTI, which, have questionable validity. You can try to find what's called the Big Five personality. I'm going to be doing a whole show on that because we just launched this week the LEADx Big Five personality assessment. Everybody that is in our VIP group got to do it for free this week. They got into that VIP group by leaving a review on iTunes and letting us know. So you could do some personality assessments, but what else made you the way, you are? And then next on that list is, what is your gift that can impact others? Now, again, Jack, if you're 18, if you're still a young adult, your knowledge is going to change, your skills are going to change, your life experiences are going to change, and your gift will change. So, what your gift is now, I think will be different in 10, 20, 30 years, and that's great. But think about now, or for listeners out there, who have a little bit more life experience, just think about, like, what do people ask you your advice about? Like, do people come to you all the time when they're in trouble with their, relationships? Like, are you great at relationships? Or do they always contact you when they've got a question about how to fix their computer? Like, are you a tech geek? Are you really good at career stuff? So people ask you advice about job interviews or getting an internship or landing a dream job. Think about your friends, your family members. When are they turning to you? What kind of questions are they asking you? Another one is to just kind of look through the last 90 days of emails you've received or text messages, for the younger generation. Again, like, what are the things that people ask you about, your opinion? When are they turning to you? Take a look at how they're reaching out, on text or email. Another one, I think people think their gift has to be bigger than it really needs to be. Like, there's 7 billion people on the planet. What is my unique gift that makes me different than 7 billion people? I mean, that's hard. I think practically speaking, you just need to know, like, what do you do better than 100, 200, 300 people out there? Like, that's valuable. Sometimes I call it the airplane test. In some of those, I don't know, like airplane disaster movies or something, there's always that scene where the flight attendant comes on and uses the microphone to announce to the airplane passengers, like, the pilots ate bad food and are ill. Does anybody know how to fly a plane? And they're hoping that, like, one person out of the 300 on the plane is another pilot, knows how to fly. And a hand goes up and, like, well, I don't know how to fly, but I did whatever. Okay, sure. Come to the front of the plane. So think about, like, you're on an airplane and the flight attendant's making an announcement and they're looking for one person on that airplane. What is it that you would say yes, you'd raise your hand to that probably nobody else would? I mean, maybe it's like, hey, does anybody know how to manage a major account sales situation? And your hand goes up because that's what you're great at. Maybe it's, does anybody know how to, use JavaScript to make an iPhone game? I bet if you know how to do that, you're the only one on the plane that knows how to do that. Does anybody know how to save a failed marriage? I don't, but maybe you do. Your hand goes up. You're a relationship expert. So, I think put it in the right context. Like, it's not like, what is your gift that's unique on the planet? It's like, what would be unique on an airplane? And if you know what that is, I mean, it can guide you to like what kind of job should you have, what your side hustle could be, how you could earn extra money, or just what you probably would be happy doing it. So Jack, anyway, I hope that's helpful. Lots of resources to get you thinking, online assessments to help you with strengths and personality. But to me, the big secret is don't feel like you need to figure out who you are, what your purpose is, and then you've discovered it and it's locked in. You get to pick your purpose. And I think, choose your purpose, choose who you are, figure out yourself now the best you can, and do it again next year and the year after and the year after and the year after. And maybe it doesn't change for a lifetime, or maybe it changes every couple of years, but don't feel the pressure like there's only one right truth and you have to discover it. You just do your best to be thinking about it. And here's the real takeaway, Jack, man, your email to me is one of my favorite in the last year. Just the fact that you would be signed up for LEADx emails, the fact that you listen to this podcast, the fact that you're even thinking about these things at the age of 18, my mind is blown. So I know you are already a unique individual. You're already doing great things, and you will do amazing things the rest of your life. So I hope everybody found some insights, something helpful. Email me if you've got different advice for Jack. We can mastermind for young Jack, and I can put it out or read them out on the next podcast. I'm going to wrap it up at this. We just went over 20 minutes. Friends, I hope you're going to have an amazing weekend. Remember, you're going to be leading this weekend. I hope you have fun. I hope you relax, but you're going to be leading, because leadership is influence and you're influencing all of the time. So be mindful of it. How will you lead today? How will you lead this weekend?